Immediate rebuke for your enemies. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I had an interesting dream. Guys, God is so not playing in this season. Not in this season, or not in this time. God is not playing. This is what I saw in my dream. So my dream played out in 3 different scenes, but they were all just showing different scenes and the outcome and the swiftness of the outcome. In the first dream, I was at school. I was in a classroom. And for whatever reason, there was just a teacher that was just coming against me. And I didn't understand like what was his problem because like I've never even seen him before. And in a split second, he started to regret, like he was so full of regret. And I realized at that time that his job was on the line. And I could see he was so regretful. He was so remorseful. Like I could see he was very sorry. Even though he was full of pride, he couldn't really apologize. I saw how he just stood there frozen looking at me. And I could see that there was just like a million and one things running through his mind. And he didn't even apologize. But I could see in his face, in his eyes, that this man was really, 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 really sorry. The dream then shifted to the next scene. In this scene, then I saw this woman. Um, this woman just decided to, first of all, I was in the house. She came to my house. She stands outside the gate and she begins to shout. And she begins to start just shouting, like causing a scene and whatnot, you know. And I remember coming out thinking, like, what is the problem? And I went to her trying to understand what was her problem. And then but the dream doesn't allow me to remember the exact conversation, because I went to her and I was like, what's the problem? And I don't remember what she said. And then I just paused looking at her as I saw another lady who was a neighbor coming close to try and understand like what on earth is happening. And all this is happening while I'm in the yard and the lady's outside the yard. Okay. And as I was looking at her, then the woman just suddenly changed, like she was this tall giant lady, okay? And she was just tall, and I felt like, just standing right next to her, I felt like standing in front of her, I felt like I was a kid. But that same woman, her demeanor changed. That same woman moved from that prideful demeanor to just complete humility. She starts apologizing to me. She's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm looking at her like what on earth? What on earth? And I remember people around me looking at me like, okay, what on earth is happening here? Including the lady who was just getting close. I wanted to understand what was happening. The lady kept on apologizing and apologizing. So I shifted my focus from her to look at the lady that was approaching. And you could see she was also in total shock. I was in shock, but the people around me were even more shocked than I was. And I couldn't even explain the situation. I didn't know what was happening. So I looked again at the woman. Now she was crying, like she was crying. I remember looking at her like, this lady is either deeply sorry and regretful, or she's a good actor. But I looked at her like I saw remorse, like she was just sorry. So that's basically how my dream was playing out. I was just seeing people doing me wrong, and then there was an immediate regret and remorse. Oh, and can I go back to this lady who was apologizing? I remember looking at her thinking, like, I don't know if these are crocodile tears or not, or whether she's just a great actor. And I just said, you know what, it's okay. I thought to myself, like, I have to forgive her. She's asking for forgiveness. I was like, it's okay, it's okay. And she was still crying. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, like it's fine, just let it go. But she was still crying, like I was shocked. But people around me were looking at me like, girl, like what is this? Like what on earth, you know? So in the series, in the different scenes that were playing out in this dream, what I was seeing was that people that were wronging me without cause, they immediately felt regret. Like God was just giving an immediate correction. Like I wish I could explain, because I'm just telling you what was happening in the dream. Even when I woke up, I didn't get any other revelation except that it was just immediate regret. And I knew like that's basically God intervening. There are people who have been living, the way they want to live, talking to people the way they want to talk, just doing things as they will, you know, and they've never had God interrupt. They've never had the supernatural power of God interrupt their lives. And when it does, it shocks the living daylights out of them. And you'll see a grown up, just a grown up man, a grown up woman, just losing it, completely regretful, crying like a little child. Like, guys, I cannot. Like, I remember waking up from the dream, and the person I remembered the most was that guy who was full of pride and yet so remorseful. So remorseful, like it moved me, like it touched me, looking at him, even though he wasn't saying anything. And then this woman who, like, she was already pleading with me, and I'm like, it's okay. Then she's crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? So this shows God's intervention. You know, there's different seasons and different times in which God acts. So sometimes people get involved into things and they're used to getting away with it. But when it's time for when it's time for God's judgment, there are things that could be done there and then, but there'll be an immediate judgment, and the people will feel it, they will see it, and they'll quickly want to correct it. So that's what I saw. And I'm like, oh wow. So it makes me realize something about the Lord. I feel that, in our lives, there's a time when God allows things to happen, allows people to get away with things. But then there's a time where God brings his judgment. But during that time of judgment, should there be an immediate wrong or fault or wrong footing from a person, just from evil intentions or an attack on an innocent person, the Lord is not going to allow that period of patience that is always allowed. No, I don't know how, I don't know what God does it, but there will be that immediate judgment on them, and they will be deeply regretful, deeply regretful. Because I remember thinking, like, I don't know, like, I've forgiven this person, but why, like, like why is she tripping? Like, why are we still talking about this? Like, why is she still here? Why is she now she's crying? Why is she crying now? Why is she causing a scene? But I realized that this woman was not embarrassing herself. It was just something outside of her, yeah. So that's basically what I dreamed. So I just thought, like, wow, how interesting. And I think that is comforting. The Bible speaks of promises and blessings that God has for us, but we also know that with that comes persecution. So it is good to see that God is saying a time is coming, and the time is coming, and it is here. When people wrong us, there will be an immediate judgment upon them. They will feel it. According to me, they will feel it supernaturally, and they will quickly apologize. And in their apologizing, they are actually trying to run away from the consequences. They're trying to run away from the effect, the cause and effect. They're trying to run away from the consequences, basically. Yeah, it just came out of me. That's what I was thinking to myself. Like, I feel like, yeah, now, even as I am now delivering this word, now I'm also being enlightened. So they were just trying to see if they can bypass the judgment. The milk has already been spilled, but the person's like, okay, but now that things are like this, let me just try to contain the situation quickly so that God doesn't deal with me, so that I can escape the punishment or reduce it as best as I can. Yeah. Yeah, so this is basically what I wanted to share. I just thought that was just, very interesting, honestly. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with us. So thank you guys. God bless.